What's up, good people? So I figured today would be a great day to talk about the mistakes that I may have made as a DPS when I first started playing Final Fantasy 14. Because Final Fantasy 14 was my first MMO game I ever gotten into. And there was a lot of things I didn't understand that I shouldn't do as a DPS. And I'm sure some of you can relate to it. I'm going to share 5 mistakes that I made as a DPS, and more specifically as a monk, to help you make sure you don't make the same mistakes and look foolish like myself. First thing I didn't realize playing DPS, especially monk, is that if you have more than 2 monsters, 2 enemies that you're fighting in a dungeon, then you should be using your AOE rotations. I say this because I was that one monk who literally used my single enemy rotation for everything. If it was 5, if it was a mob of 5, if it was a mob of 4, I would only use single rotation because I thought I would be lacking damage by using my AOE rotation, which was the very first mistake I made. If you're in a dungeon, I'm gonna say it again because I gotta say it for the ones in the back. Make sure you're listening up because I gotta make sure you hear me. If there are 3 or more mobs, 3 or more minions, 3 or more enemies, and your team is fighting them, use your AOE rotations. It will save you so much time and embarrassment to be that only person who's slapping one enemy while your whole team is trying their best to wipe them out as fast as possible. Okay, now this one I still see happen quite a bit, and even I do this quite often because as a monk, I'm so focused on my positionals that sometimes I get messed up. And number 2 is stay behind the enemy. There's so many times that I've walked to the front of the enemy and the enemy has done its tank buster, which has hit everything that's supposed to be in front of him, and now I'm dead, and now I'm sitting there spending time, and me and the floor have become best friends because they're just gonna leave me there because they realize I made a crazy mistake until they're ready to pick me up. And because of that, there's so many times where I've done raids, I've done dungeons, I've done trials, and I've seen DPS walk up in front of the monster, like in front of whatever the boss is, and just die instantly. And it's very important, as if you're not the tank, do not stand in front of the mob. Like, do not stand in front of the monster, do not stand in the boss, because the boss will do some tank buster that will wipe you completely out. You're gonna be confused, you're gonna be frustrated. The healer's over here trying not to die, but now they gotta worry about picking you up. They're sitting here trying to dodge AOE abilities and res you at the same time, and now their res macro is just going off because they can't get you up in time, and it becomes a complete mess. So make sure as DPS that you are staying behind the mob. Monk, make sure you're staying behind or to the side. We do not have any positionals that requires us to be in front of it, so don't act like there is. This third one is especially for my monk friends out here, and if you know, the reason I talk about monk so much is because I'm pretty much a monk main in Final Fantasy. I love monk. I'll play it probably to the day Final Fantasy stops going. But number 3 is not focusing on your positionals enough. As a monk player, as a dragoon player, as a samurai player, I think those are the 3 main ones. They all have positionals that require, that gives you a bonus to do extra damage if you hit it in the right spot. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on those positionals. I ran positionals with other monks and, trials and stuff, and you'll see these monks who aren't hitting their positionals. And sometimes they'll put it in the chat just like, oh yeah, I'm too tired, I don't feel like hitting the positionals. Well, you're doing a really big disservice to your team if you're not willing to hit your positionals. There's so much damage. It's going to take longer to kill things. You're going to be in these things much longer, and because of that, now it's just dragging everybody, and you're not really pushing out what you should be for your job, which is why you picked it. So if you're playing a job like monk, you should always be wanting to hit your positionals, and those times where you're really not feeling it, you probably should change it, because now you're really not doing the DPS. That your healer is going to out damage you. I mean, you don't want that to happen, right? Even though that's happened a couple of times for me. Now, number 4, I'm gonna get judged by this. Like, I already know you're gonna judge me. Make sure that you are dodging skill shots. those glowing things on the floor, they're not to stand on. They're actually for you to move out the way. And when I first started playing DPS and first started playing MMOs, I didn't understand the concept that I needed to dodge those, because I was like, well, I need to keep hitting them, and if I dodge these, then I'm not doing damage, and that's what we got healer for, because the healer's job is to heal me. me. So if I'm not taking damage, my healer's not doing anything and they're not going to have any fun. Only to learn that that is the completely wrong mindset to have when you play MMOs. Healers don't want to heal you unless they have to. Like, they want to push out damage too, and then their job is to heal you when people make mistakes. It's like, oh, you made a boo-boo, here's a band-aid, try not to make it again because we all got things to do here. So you're playing any MMOs, you make sure that when you see these glowing things and these weird things happening on the floor, that you're not in it. Because your healer will love you so much more. You'll make so many more healer friends if you learn that red is bad. The fifth tip is really important. What you need to understand is that when you're dead, you don't do damage. So when you're going for these greedy plays, too many times I made greedy plays to try to get that extra hit. That cooldown was about to come off. I wanted to get it out. I felt like I had time before the AOE the one shot completely took me out. And there's so many times I've risked greedy plays and ended up getting my whole team wiped because I felt like this one extra damage was going to make a big difference. And when you're in those situations, it's okay. When you need to run away from the boss, it makes more sense to run away than to stand there, take the damage, and potentially wipe your team, kill yourself, put your healer in a stressful situation just because you wanted to get an extra rotation out. That rotation is going to be there. It's not going anywhere. It'll be there, you know, when the ability's done, when the attack is done, you can go back. You can happily do your damage again. Greedy plays, I've seen so many times now, and even myself, I still do it because it's like, oh, he's about to die. I'm going to greed for this, and then team wipe. Greedy plays don't bring you joy. It only brings everybody else stress. In that moment, you might feel joyful, which then once you die, you're going to be stressed. So save yourself from the greedy plays. Now, look, I know some of y'all are judging me, and it's completely fine. I made this video for that. But I also made a video to help you understand that maybe the mistakes you're making, you're not alone. We all start somewhere. We all have to learn and continue to grow. And because of these things, I've become a better DPS. I do more damage. I don't die as much unless I forget things, which happens a lot. And when you make the mistakes, it's all good and all love. And I just want you to know these are the mistakes that I made. And if you have made mistakes, leave them in the comments below just to let me know, you know, what is the silly thing that you didn't realize is DPS that all of a sudden you realize, oh, I'm not supposed to do that, or I am supposed to do that. Like, I'm supposed to hit my positionals because that's what my move says, but I didn't read that until I hit level 50. But understand that also mistakes helps us grow, and the mistakes you make is completely fine because it's going to make you a better player. And if you enjoyed this content and want to come hang out with me, I actually stream on YouTube Final Fantasy Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Stop by, come hang out with me, spend some time, teach me some things, help me, and laugh at my mistakes that I'm going to make on the stream. It's going to happen. I'm going to die quite a bit. And if you enjoyed the content, think about hopping over and coming hanging out with me in the live stream. I actually stream on YouTube where we can talk monk stuff, we can talk about DPS stuff, we can laugh at my mistakes, and we can just have a good time. That's what this community is all about. It's just having a good time, growing together, and continue to be a better version of ourselves. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing if you think I'm a cool guy. Other than that, I will see you on the next episode. Happy questing, everybody, and try not to die so much. But if you're in the party with me, you'll probably die a lot.